woke up at 3 in the morning in our mansion. More than 12,000 square feet of silence. Thirst had pulled me out of sleep, but it was the emptiness beside me that truly unsettled me. My husband, Marcus, wasn't there. I moved quietly down the dark hallway toward his office. A thin line of pale blue light spilled out from beneath the door. I was about to knock, just to remind him to get some rest, when my breath suddenly caught. I heard his voice, low, tender, intimate, a tone he had never once used with me. He was talking to his mistress. "Don't worry, sweetheart," he whispered. "By tomorrow this entire house, and the millions that come with it, will be yours. I'll make sure she disappears for good." My heart tightened in my chest, not just with shock, but with a deep, cutting pain I felt all the way through me. Marcus's plan was meticulous, terrifyingly so. During our upcoming 5th anniversary trip to the mountains, he intended to stage a tragic accident. I heard him whisper about a dangerous mountain pass, the kind where even a light rain could turn the road deadly. That voice, once my source of comfort, was now calmly detailing how he would slip a mild sedative into my drink while he drove. I would be left in a hazy state, half awake and half gone, completely unable to protect myself as he steered our car straight off a jagged cliff. It would all look like a heartbreaking loss of control on a slick stretch of road. A terrible accident, nothing more. That anniversary gift he had planned for me wasn't love or remembrance, it was a death sentence, quietly decided long before I ever knew. Instead of collapsing, a frightening calm settled over me. That night, I secretly used my phone to record the entire conversation Marcus was having. The next morning, while he was still asleep, wearing that familiar mask of innocence, I slipped into the bathroom. My hands were shaking as I pressed play. His voice was unmistakably clear. "The moment she's dead, everything will belong to you." Each word felt like a blade, cutting straight through my chest. I didn't hesitate. I saved the audio file in a hidden folder, then sent a copy to Chloe, my closest friend, with a short, urgent message. "Hold on to this. Don't ask questions. If I don't call you back tonight, take it straight to the police or a lawyer." After that, I moved quietly through the house, thinking several steps ahead. I hid my passport and some cash in a small bag, just in case. I didn't know exactly what would happen next, but I knew one thing with absolute clarity. I was no longer the woman sleeping beside him unaware. I was a woman preparing to survive. The SUV rolled onto the highway, and Marcus turned on a playlist of romantic songs I used to love. He reached for my hand and smiled softly. "You look tired? Don't worry, I've got you. This trip will help you forget all your worries." The tenderness made my stomach turn. As the road began to climb, Marcus took out 2 small white pills, unmarked. "Motion sickness medicine," he said casually. "A friend of mine's a doctor. Take these and get some rest. When you wake up, we'll be there." I looked into his eyes that held ambition and cruelty hidden behind practiced care. Those weren't pills meant to help me. They were tools to push me over the edge. I nodded, pretending to trust him, slipped the pills into my bag, and forced a smile that tasted bitter in my mouth. That was the moment everything truly began. Suddenly, my phone began to vibrate violently. It was my mother-in-law, Martha. I put it on speaker. Her voice broke through the line, trembling, tangled in muffled sobs from a hospital room. "Elena, where are you? Is Marcus with you?" Marcus shot a sharp glance at the phone, irritation flashing across his face. Then Martha screamed, "Oh my God, the hospital just called. They said Marcus was killed in a horrific crash. The car went up in flames. They're asking us to come identify the body." Marcus slammed on the brakes. The SUV skidded along the shoulder before coming to a brutal stop. His face drained of color, turning ashen. His hands shook as they clutched the steering wheel, knuckles white. A cold sensation crawled slowly up my spine. He was sitting right beside me, alive, solid, breathing, and yet, according to the hospital, my husband was already dead. Marcus had hired a man named Kevin, a desperate soul drowning in debt to loan sharks. The plan was a chilling trade. Kevin would wear Marcus's expensive suit, drive the car registered in Marcus's name, and stage a minor crash on the mountain pass, just enough to create the perfect alibi, or even a convincing fake death. In return, Marcus promised to erase every debt Kevin owed, but fate had a darker turn in mind. What was meant to be a controlled collision became a nightmare when the car truly lost control on the steep, unforgiving slope. The staged accident erupted into a violent fire. Kevin didn't just play a role, he burned to death in the flames, real, final, and irreversible. At the police station, the air was thick with tension. Marcus sat across from me, still trying to look innocent, until I placed the USB drive on the table. "This is the truth," I said, my voice steady, unflinching. When the recording began to play, his own words filled the room. "When she's dead, everything will belong to you." The color drained from his face. His breathing turned shallow and frantic as he realized his carefully constructed plan had finally collapsed. That was when Kevin's uncle walked in. He carried evidence, messages, payments, proof that Marcus had hired his nephew to act as a stand-in, to wear his suit, to drive his car, to become disposable. The recording and the uncle's testimony together shattered every lie Marcus had told. He slumped back in his chair, the confidence gone, replaced by the quiet understanding of what awaited him next. Prison. And as I watched him fall apart, I felt something unexpected. Not triumph, not relief, but a calm certainty. I had survived the story he tried to end. Marcus was sentenced to many years in prison for his crimes. The judge's gavel came down like a final punctuation mark on a marriage that had been built on lies. I couldn't stay in that massive mansion for another second. Every corner was haunted by deception, by close calls, by the life I almost lost. What I didn't expect was the kindness of Martha and Victor. They didn't blame me. Instead, Martha pulled me into her arms, her voice breaking. "Go home to your parents, Elena. You've endured more than enough." Victor lowered his head and apologized for not having raised his son to be a better man. I packed my life into 2 suitcases and walked away from the toxic luxury I once thought meant safety. As the car pulled away, the dark shape of the house slowly faded into the distance. That was the moment I chose myself. That was where my life truly began again. In the middle of those dark days, buried in legal battles, I felt my body begin to change. At a routine checkup, the doctor looked up and told me I was 5 weeks pregnant. The words hit me like a lightning strike. This child was born from a love I once believed in, and at the same time carried the blood of the man who had planned to take my life. My heart tightened, torn in two. Part of me wanted to run from the truth, to erase it, but another part of me, deep, instinctive, undeniable, rose up with a fierce will to protect. My parents held my hands and promised they would stand beside me, that we would raise this child together. I stared at the tiny ultrasound image, barely more than a shadow, and felt a life quietly growing, safe, surrounded by the warmth of a real family. That's when I made my decision. I chose to keep my child, not because of Marcus, but because of me. I chose to keep living, for Ethan. 18 years passed as quickly as a dream. Ethan is a young man now, a gifted college student. He has Marcus's face, but a conscience his father never learned to carry. The day his acceptance letter arrived, we went together to the prison to see Marcus. Standing behind the glass, I barely recognized the man on the other side. He looked old, worn down, stripped of every trace of the ambition that once consumed him. When he saw his son, he broke down. His apology came late, tangled in tears and regret. Ethan met his gaze with the calm strength of an adult. There was no hatred in his eyes, but no denial of the past either. He listened, he acknowledged, and he kept his boundaries. When we left that place, I felt something lift from my chest, something I had carried for nearly 2 decades. The last weight was finally gone. Now, standing in the warm sunlight, I smile with quiet peace. My name is Elena, and I am a woman who survived, a woman who chose life, a woman who won.